think in hockey, but like certain sports, you got to throw numbers out the window. It's like take receivers who have like really.
Well, I don't know about you, but think about it this way: when I played football, our grades changed with who you're playing against, if we won or lost,
the scheme,
how kind of like what the expectations were, like as far as like you said, scheme. Like, okay, is this a brand new scheme we've never seen before that we're going against?
Are we just using the scout team playbook?
Are we going to get someone who's a superior talent than us? So there's a lot of different variables, and so just being like, okay, he made a good play there, he made an A play there, he made a B play there, and assigning points to that, and then kind of just racking it up and taking the average, it kind of demeans all the different variables that go into every single football play.
Yeah. It's the same way. It's like you don't blame an offensive lineman because the linebacker on his side sacked the quarterback because maybe the linebacker wasn't his responsibility on that play. Maybe the tight end or the running back whiffed on the chip or anything. It's a lot of variables, and I think that's when it comes to the draft process, to kind of tie all this in together. The draft process, even like Pro Bowls, All Pros, like we were saying, because the Hall of Fame is coming up. The Hall of Fame finalists were announced. It's hard to really say, okay, just based off these numbers in this situation, this person is really good. Because I feel like those numbers, they're going to come up in contract negotiations. Like Doug Baldwin.
I think now because of the status that Pro Football Focus has reached, as far as it being on Sunday Night Football, as far as it's something people are aware of, as far as it, kind of dictating daily fantasy sports and like
take QBR for example, that too.
It's the same thing. Like QBR was cool at first when it was the only stat that we had, but now there's other different metrics that are better indicators of exactly what's going on. Like, for instance, Football Outsiders, I think, is a little bit of a better system to me because I understand it a little bit more. It's a little bit more transparent. Whereas they're taking the average value of a player and assigning it to how it relates to the average player in the entire NFL. So, okay, you can see, okay, this unit performs far superior than the mean of the rest of its position group. Or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, because it just feels like, especially with, like, skill position players, like, they'll say, okay, like Seth Roberts, yards per route run out of the slot. It's like, what? Like, when the average person's watching football, I mean, whether you are or not, if you're studying it, whatever, it's just the game itself. First off, there's been plenty of times where people have run routes before the first down, and what did every coach yell at that person? Why didn't you run and adjust your route to the sticks or whatever? Well, let's say it's an option route out of the slot, or a sluggo, or just a skinny post. Like, so it's almost like it's too much of a deep analysis, and I think it's really going to affect the numbers in sports and negotiations and the draft process itself, because people are going to see numbers and statistics, and they're like, wait, so am I supposed to use this as a metric now? When really it just comes down to, can this person pass block? Can this person run block? And if you see enough plays, you can kind of, like, just say you watch
the way I look at
15, 20 snaps.
The way I look at it is Pro Football Focus is just another person's opinion. But because I don't know who that person is specifically, I mean, like, yeah, like, there's certain people, Pro Football Focus, like, I mess with, I follow on Twitter, I think they're brilliant people. But because that metric is assigned to Pro Football Focus and not attributed to that specific person, I don't know what is going into that grade. Right? Because if I read what Matt Miller says when he grades a player, I know that's Matt Miller's opinion.
Yeah.
Right? But because Pro Football Focus is this big overarching brand of statistics now they're assigning a grade to that overall brand.
Yeah.
So I don't really know the context that goes into that because, like I'm saying, it's another person's opinion. But that person's opinion is representing this entire brand that is becoming a major influencer of the culture.
Yeah, and this all feeds...
Which may or may not be fair. It would be like if they used my or your opinion as like Bible.
And we use numbers as our justification.
But
some people don't use numbers. They use football knowledge.
It's not even numbers. Like the numbers, like the yards per slot, that doesn't bother me. Yards after the catch, yards per attempt, like that's all measurable stuff. That's all numbers. The part where I have a qualm with is the actual letter grade, the number value.
Yeah. So like based off how many times this person had the ball thrown their way at corner, and how many times, whether it was a pick or a pass breakup, what's that success rate? That's how good of a player they are. When it's like, well, maybe they just run a lot of single high. Maybe he only had the flats, and it looks like he got beat on that route, but really the safety blew it.
Well, that's like it's like Danico Autry. Like I've watched him play.
He has 5 sacks. He had 5 sacks this year.
I watch him play every single day for the past 3 or 4 years, and while he has improved, I don't think he is a B+ player. Like Pro Football Focus has graded him, especially through the second half of the player.
I think Anthony Zettel and other guys.
Because he gets too far upfield. He whiffs. He's
inconsistent in his rush and his counter moves.
And his effort isn't always there.
And I feel like the effort's there, but it's like once you run out of moves, and he's not a speed rusher, so you got him rushing the passer over.
But you don't even watch football, so I'm not even listening to what you say.
No, I've watched Unique. Calm down.
Anyways, so we spent way too much time talking about Pro Football Focus. So let's move on to something you mentioned a little bit earlier.
Hall of Fame?
The Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
So who are your locks to get in?
Okay, first I'm just going to announce the finalists.
There's like 15 of them. You don't even have to do them all.
I feel like realistically they should put most of this class, if not all this class, in.
At some point.
It's annoying. No, like a lot of these cats should be
T.O., what is it? T.O.?
T.O. should have been got in. Ray Lewis.
Brian Urlacher.
Randy Moss. Tony Baselli. Isaac Bruce, who's 5th all-time in receiving. I already said Dawkins. Alan Faneca. Steve Hutchinson. Joe Jacoby. He's one of the famous Hogs offensive linemen. He should have been got in. Edgerrin James. Ty Law has the same amount of interceptions as Deion Sanders, which is 53. Except Ray Lewis. John Lynch, I really don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he just was the beneficiary of playing on a defense with a bunch of great players, and he was a strong safety.
Okay.
But whatever.
I didn't ask
That's
you
just
for your
me.
take. You were supposed to name the list.
Sorry. Kevin Mawai. Brian Urlacher. Everson Walls, who has 57 career interceptions, but still isn't a Hall of Famer. And he's actually in the final year of the modern era finalist. And if he's not enshrined this year, he'll go to the senior committee.
It's going to be really hard for him to get him this year.
Yeah,
because the lineup is so stacked.
And speaking of which, senior committee, Robert Brazell, linebacker, Houston Oilers. He played 70s and 80s. Jerry Kramer, infamous guard for the Green Bay Packers, 1958 to 1968. Then there's a contributor, Buddy Bethard. He might be related to C.J. Beathard. I don't know. Personal executive for the Kansas City Chiefs, 1996 to 1967. The Atlanta Falcons, 1968 to 1971.
Okay, man. You don't have to give us our whole biography. Nobody cares.
All right. So that's why he's not getting in the Hall of Fame, because no one cares about the older generation. Disrespectful. But
I mean,
out of the people I named,
if the Players Union doesn't, why should I?
Wow. Do you just want
That's a thunder.
Wait, is there an arthritic crack anywhere on here as an effect that we can use?
Okay, so give me your locks to get in.
Well, that's the thing. I think they're locks, but the NFL is trash. So, Jerry Kramer should have got in. Everson Walls should have been got in, just from the old generation.
So you're basically saying everyone in this class should get in?
No, everyone except John Lynch. I think Faneca and Hutchinson and Mawai, because they're offensive linemen, they're going to have to wait because there's a log jam at center and guard. Like, they're going to have to wait. Ty Law should get in. Edgerrin James is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Edgerrin James, for me, never gets in. John Lynch never gets in. Brian Dawkins is a fringe guy.
What?
I mean, I love Brian Dawkins. Brian Dawkins is one of my favorite players, but statistically, I don't know.
Are you serious? He's one of the few people, of I think maybe 7, who have 35 picks and 20 sacks in his career.
He has He has 3 more picks than John Lynch?
Dude, he played everywhere for the Philly and Broncos defenses.
But, that's what I'm saying.
And he was, their best defensive player.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if you can put Brian Dawkins in.
He might not be a first ballot.
I think he's better than John Lynch, but he's not that much better than John Lynch.
He ran a 4.3 coming out of Clemson.
He's not that much better than John Lynch.
John Lynch was an undersized safety.
John Lynch is off. Edgerrin James is off.
So we got about 10 guys.
You know how I feel
Bruce
about
should
Isaac
get
Bruce.
in, but he 5th all-time receiver, but you can't get in.
T.O. has to get in before Isaac Bruce.
If T.O. doesn't get in, I spit at the Hall of Fame.
T.O. needs to get in before Isaac Bruce.
If T.O. get in, but that's the thing. Isaac Bruce is waiting.
Ty Law needs to get in.
Torrey Holt might get in before T.O., and that's just because the media hates T.O.
Now, between those 3
Baselli
offensive
should
linemen,
get in.
Who gets in first between the 3 offensive linemen? Baselli should have been in.
The 2 guards, so did Joe Jacoby, but Baselli should have got in. It's Baselli, Joe Jacoby, Faneca, Hutchinson, and Mawai.
No, I'm talking about between the 3, Mawai, Faneca, and Hutchinson. Who gets in on it? Not even just in this
Faneca, because he's a Steeler.
But I'm just saying, between those 3, who would you put in if you were voting?
It goes to name recognition and the teams they played for. Steve Hutchinson was better than Faneca, in my opinion, but Faneca will get in because he's a Steeler.
I'm asking you, which one would you put in?
Which one would I put in?
Which one would you put in out of those 3? I don't know why this is so hard for you. You have an opinion on everything.
Because I watched Faneca play. Faneca and Hutchinson were 1A and 1AA.
Okay.
So it's
here's my rebuttal.
If one doesn't get in,
here's my rebuttal to that.
I think they both get in.
This is my rebuttal to that.
Personally.
Hutchinson, 2 MVPs. Blocked for 2 MVPs.
You realize Alan Faneca rushed for 9 1,000-yard rushers, including Hall of Famer Jerome Bettis. And he was great in Arizona.
And Hutchinson was great in Minnesota.
And he played for the Jets, too. But that's the thing. They're so great that I think they both have to get in if they're going to get in. Because there's no reason you keep them out.
I thought you were going to hit me with the Walter Jones argument, but all right.
First off, Walter Jones is a Hall of Famer, but he wasn't as good as Jonathan Ogden. But still Hall of Famer.
But what I'm saying is, I thought you were going to say Hutchinson was only as good because he had Walter Jones.
No, that's trash. That's not true at all. Because he went to Minnesota and they almost won a Super Bowl.
He had a left tackle too.
He had Brian McKinney, but I feel like he added years to Brian McKinney's career
for sure
because he was almost done in Minnesota
for sure.
But yeah, I think Joe Jacoby should have been got in. There's certain cats who should have gotten in, but
low key, I think
it should be a 10-person class.
I think Kevin Mulway should probably get in before both the guards.
But here's the problem: why I think he won't get in. He was the NFL exactly. He was NFL president. They don't like guys who were an NFL Players Union, especially a former president. And it's he got screwed out of a couple of years off his career too. It's politics, so it's if I had to guess, I don't think they're going to put him in because they forget about his career and how dominant he was, even though he's one of the most athletic centers ever. When it comes to offensive linemen, their resume so stacked, I don't see how you can't put them in. But because it's not a glamour position,
is Jeff Saturday in?
No.
I mean, because Mulway has to get in before Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, because Jeff Saturday was great, but he wasn't the best center in the league. I don't think at any point. He was top 5. He was top 5, yeah. Yeah, top 3. That's more fair. He was top 3. But, and Ty Law's obvious.
Ty Law's like